one place where $20 of my money or your money will never hopefully go is to either of these two shitheels. Can I just say that this clip might be worth it just for the look on Alex Jones's face right here? Alex Jones, federal filings show millions in DOJ funds went to charities tied to my accusers, who then paid the Democrat law firms suing me. I think they were, and also the Democrat law firms. So, sorry, Republicans would never take on the case of the Sandy Hook parents? So Republicans are like, I don't see a crime here. I don't see anything morally reprehensible in Alex's behavior at all. Sending his supporters basically to piss on the graves of your dead children, saying you never had kids in the first place. As a Republican, by God, I don't see anything wrong with that at all. So this will have an ad.
Another great warrior, maybe our greatest warrior, Alex.
Jesus Christ, if that's the case, tap out, motherfucker.
Jones joins us. So, Alex, you help the audience out here. I'm hearing tons of confusing information every time we talk about InfoWars.
Yes, it's very confusing. Nobody knows what the shit you're talking about, kind of ever. Mainly because, and stop me if people seem confused about this, that if anything Alex Jones had said about the people that run the world was true, he'd have been dead a long time ago. Or, if it is true, he clearly works for them and distracts from what they're doing by making up apocryphal tales about another mystery organization that he's created out of thin air. He's either a disinformation actor, a lying charlatan, or we're talking to a clone.
And the deep state coming for your assets. Can you get our audience up to speed on exactly what's happening, sir?
The deep state. I just want the desk.
When I was on with you last time.
God damn. When I was on with you last time, I was trying to give up eating frozen Wisconsin cheese curds because they always come back up on me, and I just can't.
And this is basically what everybody's been, getting from it. You're like, hey, great surviving Bloomberg and his gun control group. It's now come out with the Justice Department, starting with Obama. And then even when Trump was in, rogue elements of the Justice Department. And then
get a fucking lozenge. Shit.
Biden running all this lawfare against myself, something you obviously have experienced at an even greater level.
Well, there's still time.
Trump and then Flynn and Bannon and then myself, down the lines.
Yes, down the line of fucking scumbags.
I've not been as targeted as you, but I've certainly been targeted by it massively.
No, you haven't. These are civil cases, fuckwad.
And the PR firms, the law firms, the debanking, the law.
Not. Oh my God. PR firms? You were attacked by PR firms? Sorry, this was a like an aerial assault of public relations?
Suits, the rig courts where you're found guilty by these Democrat activist judges.
No, you're not found guilty in a civil court. You're found liable. Guilty is a word that you're trying to, basically, I guess, steal prison valor, make it look like you're more of a victim.
And then I went into bankruptcy and...
yeah, tried to hide the money that you owe the Sandy Hook parents.
They said, we're going to catch...
Ozempic and Rolaids is not a good mix? Is that what you guys are saying?
With all this hidden money and stuff, and that wasn't true. Then they had the U.S. trustee last year and the CRO who were assigned to it by the Justice Department try to close the building without a court order. We went and challenged that, stopped them there. I had to literally stop armed security they sent with no court order and said, no, you're not. I'm calling the police. They said, well, that makes sense. We don't have a court order. This is crazy. And then they said, well, we've got a lawyer from the Justice Department saying, I'm ordering you to do this. And that was back on May 31st of last year. Then the judge said...
Yeah, you got to stay and you're still holding out. Basically, you're using eviction law in Texas to stay in your fucking office park with your dumbass studio, which you could move into your goddamn garage.
Sell it on an online auction, and we had buyers that had already done the first bids, because you do bids before the online auction that was more than triple what the other side had done.
Right, because they were going to pay you under the table a certain amount, and then tell like the overt amount of money, and then they would put the rest of it in a crypto account or something like that before the auction, so that you could hide tens of millions of dollars and keep working, so the Russians or fucking Roger Stone or some other scumbag could pump money into your accounts so you could keep cranking out this garbage.
And so they just pulled the auction the day before, said they had a secret auction, and gave it to the Everytown group that is financing the Onion. And that Everytown group is 97% owned and run by Michael Bloomberg, who we know was financing some of the suits going back years ago.
Right. So I guess he's just got a big chip on his shoulder about people who mock the parents of dead kids. Huh.
And so we said, no, we're not leaving. So they sent in security again. They turned off the internet. I went to our backup studios, the Alex Jones Network, and didn't even miss a beat. Thanks to listener support, we're able to.
I don't know. I think it's kind of slowed down. Yeah. I feel like it's really kind of, I mean, you're doing most of your broadcasts from your fucking car.
Build that as a backup. And then the judge the next week ordered us back into the building, said this is not true. I don't believe this was a real auction. He then in December had a 2-day hearing and said that the sale was fraudulent. And
hold on one second. I know I have it around here somewhere. I thought I got it, well, I guess we can just, sorry, keep going.
And overrode that. But the U.S. trustee that's appointed by the Justice Department, and this is hangovers from Obama, will not sell it to anyone. And we sued them and got the emails and depositions and documents where they said with the plaintiffs, it's really Democratic Party, the Paul Weiss law firm and others that have already admitted to wrongdoing against the Trump administration with the Lawfare, did a $40 million settlement with supposedly community action they were going to do. And
you mean free work for Trump himself?
Community service. And then they even called part of the $40 million community service in their federal filings the suits against me. So that's something that President Trump obviously needs to know about.
Yeah, I think he does. And I think like a lot of things to do with other people, Alex, he doesn't give a fuck.
When Paul Weiss said they were going to stop all this, they're the main group running it. And so now the federal judges said status quo.
This is so fascinating. I'm learning so much.
Oh,
how do you even deal with the pain? The hurt, the ignominy.
Want money, you just want to shut it down.
That's what they want. They just want to shut it down.
Is offered to settle. Plus, it's all on appeal at the.
It's all on appeal
at the state and federal level.
At the state and federal level.
And so then they said, no, we're
so
going to get a receiver with the same Judge Guerra Gamble, who ran the show trial in Texas.
He ran the show trial. Sorry, what were we talking about?
And so she appointed the receiver at a...
Not a receiver, which is like a believer, because she likes Justin Bieber.
Wednesday hearing, and you can read her statements in Bloomberg, strangely enough.
You could probably read them in the court records as well.
Of course, Bloomberg doesn't tell you they're behind it. They should.
No, they won't tell you because everyone else is too.
In the article, by the way, the owner of our company is behind this. That's on record. But there they are reporting on it. She said, well, we're going to have now another hearing.
We're going to have another hearing. Yeah! Sometime in the next week, the attorneys will confer and we'll work it out with the bailiff and we'll schedule something. Perhaps have a secondary hearing once we have your filings by a certain date.
In September 16th, and that she intends to do the order. A 5-day order is then issued.
A 5-day order that only lasted 3 days and 48 hours.
To send in the Travis County Sheriff's Department.
Oh no, not Travis County.
And close.
Are you talking to me?
The building, the equipment's probably only worth $300,000, $400,000. Again,
if that, it's kind of old.
Said in the news, we do not want money.
We definitely don't want this gear, because if you walk into that studio with one of those blue light things, it'll look like a Picasso somebody spilled milk on.
But now they're saying, oh, he will never pay us. We're doing this to get our money. And MSNBC last night said, how dare Jones be appealing this? He's a terrible person.
He is, I think we can all agree. He's a terrible person. And it looks like he smells.
And so this has been a long battle. And
yeah, I gotta say, I'm glad. I'm glad it's ongoing. I gotta say, I feel like how you have a pretty good singing voice. I watched a documentary about Harry Nilsson, the fifth Beatle. I could have been the seventh Beatle. I always like to think, you know. Ooh, ooh. And then I saw her face. Sorry, that would be the Monkees. They had
when
a huge
Trump
influence.
got in,
They had a huge influence on the Beatles, though.
7 months ago, 2 weeks after we were sent finally for a request we did years ago, and it was Obama putting me under national security investigation with Comey, 2013.
This is good. This is good. Is Steve Bannon taking a shit right now?
They then strategically go in and try to disrupt what you're doing, like you're a foreign adversary.
Well, I mean, considering the work you do, I can understand why they might think that.
And then you ran the lawfare and all of that. Then this
It's not lawfare. You're being sued by families.
year, we discovered in the
Yeah, you know, it's funny how like the Russia-Ukraine war could end in a second if Russia just fucked right off. You could have fixed this shit if you'd have just left the Sandy Hook families alone. You could have talked about everything involved in that. It was all fabricated and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not going to get into the families or whatever. Like stick with the MK Ultra bullshit. Just make some shit up. But you had to do it. You had to go after the parents and say that their kids didn't exist and that they were crisis actors and they were burying empty coffins. You fucking asshole. If you'd have done anything shy of that, none of this would have happened. Fuck you, Lawfare. But you couldn't stop yourself because you're a fucking scumbag. God damn.
federal filings, thanks to a lot of Doge stuff that got published, millions from the Justice Department directly to the charities of the people suing me who
You mean the anti-gun violence charities?
and paid the money to the Democrat law firms that are suing me. They'd be given federal DOJ money, and then they would give the exact amount a week or two later, over and over again, millions and millions and millions of dollars to the very law firms as clearly the pay.
Because those law firms deal with a lot of gun violence related deaths
And it matches up exactly.
and lawsuits. Well, it's funny how you could have stopped that whole chain of money if you just hadn't gone after the fucking parents of dead kids, you tit.
And we also got an undercover CIA, FBI liaison, Gavin O'Blevis, 2 years ago.
Gavin O'Blevis.
In an undercover
He's related to Scott Bladham.
Veritas sting. It was on a totally separate subject.
Yes, it had nothing to do with your shit.
Saying, yeah, we investigated Jones back 10 years ago, which we now have the documents was true. And the FBI
Right.
couldn't find anything.
Because they weren't allowed to look at your foreign financial holdings.
So we went and did this whole Sandy
Because they're supposed to stay inside the United States and they didn't have probable cause on that part of it yet.
Hook thing. Then we have the head counsel in Connecticut saying 2.5 years ago in the show trial there that indeed he went and generated the lawsuits, organized the law firms, and the families. So we have a total chain of
No. All right. I'm sure somebody had to organize this whole process because you make lots of money and going up against you would have been very expensive. And there's a bunch of right-wing scumbags that would jump to your defense and they would have to deal with that as well. That clearly would take a lot of work, a lot of money, a lot of lawyers and that kind of stuff. So somebody's going to have to organize it. But the part about organizing the parents, you did that. Asshole. You organized the parents by collectively doubting the deaths of their children to the point where your supporters pissed on the graves of their kids. You organized the parents. Nobody else did. Fuck this dude. I honestly thought this whole thing was going to be like just touch base on this topic. And this diatribe, I guess, goes on for another 10 fucking minutes. Pass. This, God damn. Eat shit. What a fucking creep. And never, ever has gotten, like, never a point where, like, he apologized in court to try and walk it back. And, like, as an attempt to try and get out of, the situation he was in. Not because he actually gave a shit. Or he suddenly had a conscience. Because he thought he could end that maybe there was a chance that the judge would go, okay, well, you got your apology. He says he lied. End of story. Like, nope. You don't get to fucking try to roll this shit back once you're in court and you've cost all these people all this stress and effort and money. All right, I tap out. No. Too late, motherfucker. You could have done that earlier. As a matter of fact, it should cost you more for dragging everybody through this shit. What an asshole.